In a move that has caught the attention of corporate America, former U.S. President Donald Trump recently issued an executive order targeting two major proxy advisory firms, Institutional Shareholder Services, known as ISS, and Glass Lewis. While these firms may not be household names, they play a huge role behind the scenes in shaping how shareholders vote on corporate matters. And for Tesla CEO Elon Musk, this order could represent a significant advantage over rivals who have opposed his pay and leadership decisions. Elon Musk has long been vocal about his dissatisfaction with ISS and Glass Lewis. Both firms had previously opposed his high-profile compensation packages, arguing they were excessive. Musk's frustrations were not just about money, they were about the influence these firms wield over corporate governance, shareholder votes, and ultimately, executive decision-making. Trump's recent move signals a shift in how Washington may engage with these powerful advisory firms, and it could reshape the corporate landscape for major executives like Musk. Let's break it all down. First, it's important to understand the role of ISS and Glass Lewis. These firms advise institutional investors, think mutual funds, pension funds, and other large shareholders, on how to vote on corporate matters. This includes everything from executive pay packages and mergers to board elections and environmental policies. Their recommendations carry enormous weight. When ISS or Glass Lewis advises against a corporate proposal, shareholders often follow their guidance. This has led to tension between corporate leaders and advisory firms, especially when executives feel their strategic decisions are being undermined. Elon Musk has repeatedly criticized these firms for wielding what he sees as outsized influence over Tesla's corporate governance. Elon Musk's clashes with ISS and Glass Lewis are not new. Most notably, both firms opposed his compensation package at Tesla, which tied his pay directly to performance milestones, including market cap growth and operational achievements. Critics argued that the package was risky and overly generous. Musk, however, defended it as a visionary approach that aligned his incentives with long-term shareholder value. When proxy advisory firms recommend against such packages, it can influence shareholders to vote no, potentially derailing executive plans. For Musk, who has a strong track record of ambitious goals, this opposition was more than a minor annoyance, it was a barrier to executing his vision for Tesla. Enter Donald Trump. The former president recently issued an executive order directing the Securities and Exchange Commission, or SEC, to review ISS and Glass Lewis. The focus? How these firms make recommendations to shareholders, particularly regarding diversity, equity, and inclusion, DEI policies, as well as environmental, social and governance, ESG initiatives. Trump's order is framed as a push for transparency and accountability. Critics of proxy firms argue that they are imposing political or social agendas under the guise of shareholder advice. Supporters of Musk view the order as a chance to rein in this influence, giving executives more freedom to pursue their business strategies without external pressure. Corporate governance expert Carrie Burcham notes that, even without immediate legal changes, the order could still have a powerful effect. Boards and institutional investors may begin adjusting their policies and voting behaviors in anticipation of stricter oversight, aligning more closely with shareholder-focused governance rather than broader social objectives. A key element of the executive order is its emphasis on DEI and ESG policies. These frameworks have become popular in corporate America over the past decade. DEI initiatives aim to promote diversity and inclusion within the workforce, while ESG policies guide companies in addressing environmental and social responsibilities, as well as governance practices. While many investors and executives support these initiatives, critics, including Trump and his allies, argue that such policies can sometimes prioritize social agendas over shareholder returns. This tension is what Musk and others have highlighted in their complaints about proxy advisory firms. The order does not ban DEI or ESG considerations outright, but it signals a willingness by regulators to scrutinize how these factors influence proxy recommendations. This could lead to a corporate environment where traditional financial metrics regain priority over social or political agendas. So, why is this a potential win for Elon Musk? By targeting the firms that previously opposed his pay package, Trump's order could reduce the likelihood that external advisors block or influence shareholder votes on executive compensation. Musk's compensation plan at Tesla is heavily performance-based, tying payouts to long-term achievements rather than short-term profits. If proxy advisory firms face increased scrutiny and adjust their recommendations accordingly, Musk may encounter less resistance in securing shareholder approval for future compensation packages. In addition, The order could discourage other corporate executives from pursuing aggressive, long-term strategies due to fear of negative recommendations. Musk, known for his bold vision and willingness to take risks, could find himself in a more favorable environment compared to rivals who rely heavily on traditional advisory guidance. Trump's executive order is not just about Musk or Tesla, it reflects a larger political and cultural debate in corporate America. The directive aligns with a broader Republican critique of woke capitalism, a term used to describe companies that integrate social or political agendas into business decisions. Critics argue that corporations should focus on profits and shareholder returns rather than broader societal goals. If ISS and Glass Lewis adjust their recommendations in response to the order, it could signal a shift away from prioritizing DEI and ESG policies. Boards and institutional investors may become more cautious in advocating for social initiatives, potentially reshaping the way companies approach governance, compensation, and corporate responsibility. This shift could have ripple effects across industries, influencing hiring practices, environmental programs, and even corporate culture. For investors, it may lead to a renewed focus on financial performance and risk management, rather than alignment with social or political objectives. Corporate governance experts are watching closely. Carrie Burcham explains that the order may not immediately change laws or regulations, but the signal it sends is significant. Boards and investors tend to respond proactively to signals from regulators and policymakers. Even the perception that advisory firms may face more scrutiny can prompt a change in how votes are recommended and executed. Other analysts caution that while Musk may benefit in the short term, broader corporate governance challenges remain. Proxy advisory firms have been influential for decades, and their methodologies and recommendations are deeply embedded in shareholder practices. Any long-term changes will likely require ongoing regulatory attention and careful monitoring. In the end, Trump's executive order is a strategic development in the ongoing tension between corporate executives and proxy advisory firms. For Elon Musk, it represents an opportunity to reduce external pressure on shareholder votes, potentially giving him more control over Tesla's future compensation plans. Beyond Tesla, the order raises important questions about the balance between shareholder interests and social responsibility in corporate decision-making. It reflects a broader debate in the United States about the role of corporations in society, the influence of advisory firms, and the limits of executive power. While the full impact of the order is yet to be seen, one thing is clear: the corporate world is paying close attention. Executives, investors, and policymakers alike are watching to see whether this move signals a shift in the influence of proxy advisory firms, and what it could mean for the future of corporate governance in America. Sum it up, Trump's executive order targeting ISS and Glass Lewis may not just be a victory for Elon Musk. It could mark a turning point in how corporate governance operates in the United States. As the SEC begins its review, boards and investors will need to navigate a changing landscape where shareholder interests may regain priority over social agendas. For now, Musk's critics may need to adjust, and corporate America will be watching closely. Whether this development will fundamentally reshape proxy advisory influence remains to be seen, but one thing is certain: bold moves like this always have a ripple effect, and the story is far from over.